Hello, today we will be talking about the concept of associative socionics, which laid the basis of a new method of associative psychodiagnostics, where we understand psychic energy of the person and the type of information metabolism, one of the 16 types. So associative socionics is a unique concept because it unites the work of three authors, Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, and Auguste Vinciute, who founded the theory of socionics. Before we talk about it in more detail, I would like consider the term of psychic energy because it is important. Psychic energy is a term which refers to the field, information and energy field. And in esoterics, also information is connected to energy. Auguste Vinciute, the founder of socionics, she also was interested in esoterics. So what we're talking about is that the human organism is capable of receiving some information in energy vibes, flows, and also to transmit certain information and energy vibes, which we call influences. And if we agree upon the fact that energy and information are interconnected, related, and at the same time we talk that the person has got a type of information metabolism, then we should understand that the person is also a carrier of psychic energy, of the type of psychic energy. This concept of psychic energy goes back to Sigmund Freud. He described for the first time ego, id, and superid, the structure of personality. And he was talking about psychic energy as well, which does not disappear even after death. While Sigmund Freud had only 3 parts, 3 blocks in his personality structure, in socionics, Auguste Vinciute created a 4th one by the analogy ego, superego, and she added to it superid. I was describing earlier that in Freud's concept, superid was a part of it. He did not differentiate it. It was unconscious part which contained 2 contradictory parts. Positive energy, which was associated with the god of life, Eros, and energy of death, the god of death, Thanatos. So, and in our model, I understood it the way that this is irrational energy. It, and if we divide positive and negative part, we will have it and superid, and they both are irrational. While ego is and superego represent rational energy. In the theory of Freud, the beginning of everything is the energy id, and energy id creates under external influences energy of ego. And then the last part, which is created from the energy ego, is the energy of superego. So ego represent the part of personality which would like to manage the desires, contradictory desires of it and superego. It was understood by Sigmund Freud as a selfish child. It is an energy is associated with instinct, desire. There is a tension of desire, and the person wants on one hand to get rid of the desire, to suppress it, and on the other hand the person wants to get the satisfaction, immediate satisfaction here and there. And that reminds us of children. When they want something, they start crying and throwing tantrums and so on. It is instinctive part of personality, but it is extremely important part, because that's what actually pushes the life to continue. We always want something. Yeah, we wake up, we want something. When I said sometime on the lecture that we want everything, you know, when we wake up, then somebody said to me, we want already in a dream. So even when we dream something, we already want something. So if we don't want anything, that's time to go and die then. Yes, so that energy is really important, energy it. And energy ego is like a judge, principle of reality, is the characteristic of this energy. And ego just looks at consequences. It's not a moral type of energy. Just the task of this energy just to understand what wants the part of it, personality, what wants superego, and how to get what you want without upsetting other people and crossing the social norms. Because superego, it is exactly the type of energy which represents adjusting your own wishes to the wishes of others, to live in harmony with the society and surrounding reality. Yes, and then we come to the part of spirit. Spirit, as I said, is irrational part of personality, and with this part I associate the archetype shadow from the archetypes of Jung, theory of Jung. How this theory developed. At some point, Jung was a friend of Freud and was his student, and Freud believed that instinctual part of it is the most important for the development of personality, precisely the early ages of development, when the person develops sexual instinct, libido. That Freud believed that experiences when the child has got in the childhood while developing sexual instincts, they pushed into unconscious, this maybe unwanted or difficult experiences. They pushed from the conscious into unconscious and create individual unconscious. And Carl Jung believed that it's not that instinctual behavior experiences of the child are the most important for the development of personality, but rather the heredity um, heredity uh, controls how the people will react in their life and what experiences they will have in their life. Heredity means that we inherit from the past, from the previous generations, their fears um, through unconscious, their fears and their experiences, and they shape a new personality, a newborn personality. The structures are already there, and these structures mean the templates, which he called also archetypes. And Jung developed this concept of collective unconscious, which is the crucial, in his view, for the development of personality, almost saying that we inherit strong qualities and weak qualities of our generations, of our parents, and so on. Yes, that was kind of contradictory view between Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. And of course, in socionics, we also believe, the majority of socionists believe that yes, the type is inherited. And I have in particular my own view of it, and I have got my theory of type inheritance, but maybe it is a topic of some other conversation, some other video. I associate with type of energy superate, as I said, archetype shadow, and there are 4 major archetypes contained in the collective unconscious. It is animus anima, like female and male part in a person. It is persona, persona, shadow, animus and anima, and the self. Why I have chosen this particular archetype shadow? Because it represents the dark part of personality, our fears, something we don't like about ourselves, the thoughts maybe we don't like, something which we try to hide from others, maybe only we know. And this part of personality is occupied with self-preservation. It is instinctual part. It comes from the long years ago when people were thinking about how to survive. And sometimes to survive, you can be capable of some very drastic measures. That's what happens in animal world. To survive, sometimes they can eat their own, let's say that. It is the animals, they can sacrifice themselves for their young, but also can kill their young in case of necessary survival. So it's animals, they don't have a choice like people, they are driven by the instincts, and that's what happened. And that's what we sometimes notice in the behavior of people as well. We might be very shocked when it happens, but some people, when they pushed into the corner of survival, when they have got exhaustion, sometimes they do drastic measures, something which people do not supposed to do. Yes, and I didn't say anything something about superego. This is a part of personality which is very important for the development of, for the moral development. And parents, people which influence the child, the growing personality, they are living examples of how to behave and how to live in the society, to survive and to flourish, to bring the benefit to the society. Superego is responsible for moral development of personality, and it consists two parts. Ego conscience. This part is a punishing part. When the person does something wrong, so ego conscious tells the person, makes the person feel guilty and punishes by the field of guilt, while the ego ideal, another part, is on the opposite. It rewards the person with self-pride and self-appraisal, self-value. This is how it works about all these parts of personality. Yes, and now we will talk about conflicts, because Sigmund Freud, when he described personality structure, he was talking that internal conflict is absolutely natural. Natural because there are contradictory parts of personality which want different things, and so we experience from time to time conflicts. And at the same time, the model which we have in associative socionics is about balancing all these personality structures so that the person can carry on living and feel adequately with themselves, content with themselves. In his theory, Sigmund Freud described three conflicts which exist between the three parts. He had only three parts, yes. So he described external conflict. External conflict as a threat to life, which is aimed at securing personal safety. And this conflict, external, is the best associated with the relationship between energy type ego and energy type spirit. It is a dynamic relationship, and both types of energies are also dynamic, ego and spirit. How does it manifest in real life? Ego types, people who carry the major energy type is ego, they are strong leaders, they are controlling, they changing the environment, they're trying to change people around them, inspire them in accordance to their will, how they see things should be, direction to take, and they are strong enough to take responsibility for other people, to be captain of the ship when it's very necessary. But there are situations when they feel helpless, they feel detached, and when they feel like that, we say that this is the actual reactions of spirit, when you feel of no control and all what you do is observe. But that is very hard and difficult to accept for ego types, and at the same time you must experience exactly that reactions from ego types. when they detach themselves. And superid types, they are on the opposite. They observing types, they do not intervene with the reality, with others. They try not to intervene, not to teach other people how to live life and so on, not to change the environment. They're rather unjust. But again, there are situations when they take control and manifest leadership in their own interest. And that happens as external conflict, as a threat to life. That situation which creates that drastic change of behavior, and in ego and superid types, associated with the with the dichotomic trait of dynamics, because it's very bright contrast of the behavior which we do not normally expect from these people. The other conflict that Sigmund Freud described is the moral conflict. Moral conflict, it is when superego, part of personality, put the pressure on ego. This relationship is reflected in the relationship between ego and superego, these two types of energies, and it is associated with dichotomic trait of rationality. When it is too much rationality, what can we see? Too much rationality means that people are capable to rationalize behavior which is completely irrational. For example, there are situations when people commit crime and kill other people. For example, sometimes men kill their family, something like that happens as well, or kill children and so on, and they rationalize it as they do it because they don't want their loved ones to suffer when they go. No, some absurd situation, but that is a rationalization. And the other conflict which is described by Freud is neurotic conflict. And this conflict is between ego and id, and it's associated with extroverted type of psychodynamics. It's mainly exhaustion, when the person wants too much, too active. On one hand, wants to be free of responsibilities, behave yourself like a child. On another hand, the person wants to control the environment and other people. This could bring the person to exhaustion and to neurosis. This is very briefly described conflicts which exist between different parts of personality. And that's how I see it, but it could be other explanations and associations as well. Yes, I think this is the major information which I would like to tell you today about psychoanalytic basis. Sometimes people, when they read the book and they don't understand how associated, how this information is associated with model A, and why, for example, ego is associated with rationality, superego with rationality, id with irrationality, and superid with irrationality. But for me, it was very simple, it was understandable, and I hope that you will understand it as well, that division of and association of dichotomic traits in socionics with Sigmund Freud theory and Carl Jung archetype shadow. So thank you very much for watching this video.